Okay. So my name's Stephen DeBacker, and I'm the undergraduate program director here, and I'm also taller than this mic. So this is our very first mathematics undergraduate commencement. So even if it goes horribly wrong, it's infinitely better than anything that's happened before. So we're set. So a few announcements. First off, Leah Baldori. Are you here? Because I have your ID card. Leah Baldori. Nope? Okay. So the way this is going to work is like this. I'm going to give a little talk later, and then Molly Lee is going to give a talk, and then about half of you are going to march. And the way you're going to march is you're going to come, Elena will tell you, or demonstrate. Yeah, there you go.
So all of the graduates, you should have a card with your name on it. Is there anyone that doesn't have a card? Great. So I'm going to be coming up this aisle. I'm going to collect your cards in the order that you're seated and will then be standing. I'm going to hand the cards to Professor Moore, who will then announce your name as you graduate.
And as you graduate, no, you're not graduating, sorry. That's another thing I have to talk about, but we'll wait. As you're walking across, you're going to shake my hand in front of those beautiful math t-shirts there, and the camera is right there. Okay? So make sure you look at the camera when we shake hands. So, a couple of you asked, do we graduate? No, you don't graduate today, and you don't graduate tomorrow. In fact, you don't even graduate for a while because everything has to get audited, and after it gets audited, no, that's totally serious, it's in the basement of Noonan. After it gets audited, then it has to get approved by the regents. And they usually meet in May, and then they say, yes, you've graduated, and then you get a diploma in the mail. I assume it can't come electronically. Okay? It's clear? That's how it works. Okay. Ready to get started? Okay. So I'm Stephen DeBacker, undergraduate program director. We did that part already. And we're going to go through 2 small talks, and then a bunch of you will graduate, and then 2 more talks, and a bunch more will graduate, except you're not really graduating. And then at the end, our chair will show up and give some concluding remarks, and that will be it. Okay? Good. So if you get bored, you'll notice that in your program, there are 2 blank pages towards the end. Okay? This was done on purpose so that you can work on various math equations that might pop into your head. Okay? I was trying to secure pencils for you, but that didn't work out. So hopefully everyone brought their own writing utensil. So, to the people in the middle, congratulations to all of you. Sure. So while mathematics is useful, beautiful, elegant, and all those other nice words we like to use, it is also rigorous, logical, and very precise, which means it's quite challenging, yeah? Because those are challenging concepts in life. So if Michigan did it correctly, then your journey with us through your undergraduate years has been challenging and full of many long hours doing your homework, many struggles which eventually hopefully became productive, and at the end of the day, you're here and you graduate with a math degree. So now we can clap for all of them. Yep. Of course, none of this would have been possible without your parents and friends and family who are supporting you all the way. So everyone in the middle should clap for your support network. Do that again, that wasn't very good. So maybe members of your support network sometimes asked you, a math degree? What are you going to do, teach? And that's a very common thing. In fact, I spend a lot of time dealing with parents who think that that's the only thing their children can do. And teaching is a wonderful thing, but there are many other things that you can do with a math degree. And so I just want to tell the parents and your support network some of the things that this class is going on to do. So many of you are going to graduate school, but not in math. You're going in brain, behavior, and cognitive science, I guess, business, computer science, cryptography, economics, financial engineering, law, mathematics, of course, medicine, physics, statistics at places like Berkeley, Bonn, Boston University, Chicago, Columbia, Courant, Michigan, MIT, Northwestern, Penn, Princeton, UCLA, Stanford. Those are some pretty good places. Some of you are entering the corporate world as actuaries, auditors, economists, investment analysts, management consultants, mergers and acquisitions people. I'm not really sure what that is. Project managers, researchers, risk managers, teachers, and traders at places like Allstate, Ally Financial, Boston Consulting Group, Capital One, CCM, the Federal Reserve, Goldman Sachs, Mattel. That sounds fun, actually. The NIH, Tyson's Corner, WeWork, Willis Towers Watson, et cetera. And some of you are being more like what I wish I would have done after college, and you're going on an adventure. So some of you are going out into AmeriCorps in Detroit, teaching English in Taiwan, joining the Peace Corps in Senegal, Teach for America in Oklahoma. Maybe not, I wouldn't have chose Oklahoma, but okay. So I want to return to an earlier point that I started with, and that's that, you know, what is it that you've actually done over the last 4 years, and what was it really worth all that challenge? So one thing that's for sure is that you now have a renewed sophistication for mathematical jokes. So when you got here, you probably understood the following joke. What did the parrot say when it escaped? Polygon. Okay? But now you can understand a joke like the following. What do you call a young Eigen sheep? Yeah, a lamb, duh. So you have to explain it to your parents later, okay? But more seriously, you know, what was it all about? What was any undergraduate degree all about, actually, maybe? At least an LSA or a non-professional school. So every summer, I actually sit down and read 2 books. I read much more than 2 books, but I make sure to read these 2 books every summer. One of them, I have to look it up, it's called Academically Adrift, Limited Learning on College Campuses by Richard Arum and Joseph Roska. And I also read The Great Conversation by Robert Hutchins, which he was president of the University of Chicago, and he wrote that book back in 1952. And so these 2 books, one of them, the first one, is really scary because it just documents the decline in American education at college campuses and what people are actually spending their time doing, which apparently is mostly going to parties, according to the book, okay? And when I look at that, geez, I hope that's not what's happening in the math major. Yes? No? No? Good. Okay. And I sincerely hope that you really have been challenged in your math classes because I think that's an important part of what should happen in undergraduate education. The Great Conversation is more about what's the whole point? Why do we get educated? What is a liberal arts education about anyway? I mean, after all, it's not like someone's going to ask you to diagonalize a 2x2 matrix, right? That's just not going to happen in real life because you have Wolfram Alpha and it will do it for you much faster. And they're also not going to ask you things that Wolfram Alpha can't do, like prove that the image of a compact set under a continuous map is compact. That's just not going to happen. Well, those of you going to grad school in mathematics, that will happen. But everyone else, no way, okay? So kind of what's the point? Why, you know, what's the education about? And so I think that part of the point is you need to learn or figure out what questions to ask about life. This is very important. And then also how to approach those questions. And I think that a math degree is uniquely suited to addressing both of these. And I just want to read you a quote that occurred this week. You know Math Babe? Kathy O'Neill has this blog. It's awesome. You should follow it. Anyway, she got Allison Picelli, a professor of mathematics at Williams College, to just talk about, like, what's the point? And Allison said the following. So after she talks about how math is challenging and you're going to have to work hard and all that good stuff, she says, "What I most love about math is how useful it is. Yes, of course, math is useful in engineering, building, bridges, accounting, etc., but that's not what I mean. Math makes you smarter. It makes you a better problem solver. It makes you better at persevering and trying new ideas until you find a solution. It even makes you a better writer in your English or political science courses. Learning how to approach mathematical problems improves your logical and reasoning abilities. When one method doesn't work, you try another. You start to build up an arsenal of methods for approaching a difficult situation in any field. Mathematical thinking also requires that we be very precise and clear." This is actually going to get you in trouble. "This precision and clarity translates into better arguments in any paper or debate. And so I really hope that happened to you during the last 4 years, right? You really learned how to tackle the world's problems and not just how to diagonalize a 2x2 matrix, okay? And with that, I'm done. So we have 3 student speakers this year. We had many students submit sample speeches, and the 3 that you're going to hear were quite beautiful and wonderful, and the first is going to be given by Molly Lee.
Thank you, Professor DeBacker. Good afternoon, everybody. Congratulations to all my fellow grads and families. We made it. As many of you would agree, being a math major at the University of Michigan is not easy, even without taking Professor DeBacker's courses. I remember pulling all-nighters doing the homework, unable to solve half of the problem. I remember being too nervous to hit the email instructor button on the web homework when I have used 5 out of 6 attempts at answering the questions. I remember struggling to follow a professor's instructions while all of my classmates seemed to understand everything. As an international student, I experienced more than that. I was so confused that I thought fishbowl was an aquarium. Free food was another name for pizza. The North Face jacket and Timberland boots were unofficial school uniforms. I didn't know that my professor meant homogeneous when he said homogeneous, and was too afraid to ask. I still don't know why a 5-cent coin is larger than a 10-cent coin. Living halfway across the globe, doing coursework in a foreign language, and navigating a very unfamiliar new environment, I must admit that I have struggled a lot and shed many tears. But besides calculus, linear algebra, and differential equations, U of M has also taught me to be unafraid to jump out of my comfort zone and embrace uncertainty. So today, I'm here to share with you how I summoned my courage. Sheryl Sandberg, the Chief Operating Officer at Facebook, says, "Please ask yourself, what would I do if I were not afraid and then go do it?" So courage is not the absence of fear. You can know that you will struggle but still be willing to challenge yourself. I agree this sounds intimidating, but we can only ever grow if we're uncomfortable. Only challenges can make us more than we were. If I haven't ventured out of my comfort zone, I wouldn't have flown 7,000 miles from China to Michigan. I wouldn't complete 4 actuarial professional exams before graduation. And I wouldn't be able to add 2 letters next to my name, even if they are B and S. Think about what makes you scared, yet it's essential to achieving your ambitions. Go do it as if you were not afraid. We will fail, but that's the nature of the beast. The renowned inventor Thomas Edison made 1,000 unsuccessful attempts at inventing light bulb. Michael Jordan, the legendary basketball player, missed more than 9,000 shots and lost almost 300 games in his career. And as math majors, we all know how it feels like to try hundreds of times with different methods to solve a problem. Those failures we experience are what make us stronger. While looking back at difficulties we have conquered, we also mustn't forget those who have supported us. Without the collaboration among classmates, we wouldn't have known how to write all the proofs in Math 217. Without professors and JSI's endless office hours and patience, we wouldn't have understood all of our coursework. At Michigan, professors try every angle and every strategy to help us succeed. Staff members help adjust us to college life and explore new fields of study. And as classmates and friends, we all help each other and learn from one another. So take a moment to thank everyone who has helped you to rise to the top. As we graduate, we're leaving behind our familiar school setting, embarking on a completely new journey. Some of us will travel or live abroad. Some of us will work full-time, and some of us will attend graduate school. But no matter where you go or what you do, please have the courage to challenge yourself. Break a bad habit. Try vegetables you don't like. Take a risk. Make new connections, and put yourself in a totally new situation. And wherever you go, please share pictures online of where your UFM math t-shirt has been. Believe in yourself, because we are Wolverines. We are the victors. Thank you.
Okay, so now we're going to do the marching bit. But before we do that, I'd like everyone to thank the people who are actually doing all the work here. This includes Elena and Anne and Brene and Molly. So I'm going to introduce Kristen Moore, who's going to read all the names.
Okay. Benjamin Gould. Terry Lawrence. Samuel Tenka. Anantharaman Sharma. Noah Chen. Pranav Srinivasan. Just keep going. Okay. Alice Lee. Juan Sebastian Mesa. Michelle Gurevich. Now. Right here. Polina Abratenko. Nikhil Mishra. Matthew Baum. Lindsay Addis. Nolan Anschutz. Andrew Blumenson. Matthew Lim. Huainan Song. Peter Sheng. Michael Junawine. Nicholas Campbell. Chun Bum Ku. Kevin Stenkowitz. Yikangel Zhou. Mo Ping Do. Kai Wen Ji. Jai Hao Chu. Macy Sun. Kai Chi Wu. Rifan Liu. Charlemagne McAfee. Jamie Isaacs, Claudia Kasuf, Ryan Marshall, Jordan Katz.
Oh, okay.
Hello again. You're first, right? Yeah, okay. And so now we're going to have two more student speakers. The first is Jimmy Siner.
I'm not as tall as Steven, so I guess I'll use this mic. Right. You know, once I got started writing this speech, I had difficulty stopping because the math department here is truly like a second home to me. Thankfully, I'm not allowed to speak all that long, so I'll keep the focus fairly narrow. The Michigan Math Department, my impressions of mathematicians, and the value of a math degree. Of course, I'll always have an attachment to the physical features and memories of the math department here. The nonsense on the walls of the Nesbitt room, the cozy threadbare armchairs in the atrium, the click-clack of chalk, the savory bitterness of coffee. After finishing a late night, walking lightly down South University, only sometimes in daylight. The department here is big but small. Big because there are people interested in so many different things, but small because you can always find a tight-knit group. The people here are welcoming and smart and demanding and passionate. They're what makes this department great, and what set an excessively high bar for my evaluation of any other place I might go. My intention is to work with mathematicians for a very long time, and luckily for me, mathematicians are great people to be around. I think a good way of capturing my impression of mathematicians is with what I call the mathematician's slang. Now, for friends and family, it may not be obvious to you, but mathematicians tend to talk in a very specific way. I think it comes from an aversion to saying something false or that you don't mean, and also just from long exposure to math. Occupational hazard, I guess. The best way to demonstrate it is by example. A few weeks ago, I was out to dinner with some professors at a nice restaurant, which one of them was very familiar with. They had another location as well, and the professor assured us that the food at the two places was basically isomorphic. Now, this captured exactly what he meant. Of course, it wasn't exactly the same. It was prepared by different chefs, but it had the same components and structure, isomorphic. Some old words begin to take on new meanings as well. I took a class last semester with some friends, and the professor introduced an object usually denoted with a Gothic letter G. The Gothic font is somewhat difficult to write by hand, so the professor usually just wrote normal G's on the blackboard, but my friend was interested to know what it would look like when typeset. Now, for background, there's a typesetting program called LaTeX, that's spelled with an X, like latex gloves, that mathematicians and scientists like to use to type up their equations. This fact will be important in a moment. So anyway, my friend pulled out his phone and Google image searched LaTeX Gothic G. Now, what he thought he wrote was, of course, LaTeX Gothic G, but what Google thought he wrote was latex Gothic G, which has a very different meaning. So to his surprise, images of women revealingly clad in tight black clothing far outnumbered funny-looking letter Gs. Let me emphasize that this was in the middle of class and he wasn't in the back row. There were no disasters, although he probably cleared his browser history that evening. But what I'm trying to get at with these stories is the curiosity and precision that define mathematical thinking, and therefore those that make a living studying it. I really do view math as a way of bettering myself. Math is almost unique in the way it challenges you to bend your thinking, so studying it is really training yourself to think. No matter whether you make your living studying math or practicing it or doing something that on the surface has nothing to do with it, you'll still be using your degree. You'll run into problems and have to come up with solutions. You'll have to learn something new, be terribly confused, and eventually unravel it. You'll have to communicate a new idea to somebody and listen to critiques from them. Who knows whether you'll have to prove the rank nullity theorem again, but the skills you learned in trying to puzzle it out will last you for life. Thank you.
And our final student speaker is Madison Cox.
Fellow students, faculty, family, and friends, good afternoon. My name is Madison Cox, and I am a math major here in Michigan's math department. Today, I have a confession to make to all of you. 4 years ago, as I arrived on campus for the first time, I fully intended to be an English major, or an anthropology major, or a psychology major, or really anything strongly opposed to the field of mathematics. You see, humanities and arts has always been an area of academic achievement for me. Math, on the other hand, was always a source of struggle. Throughout high school, I would be weaving complex themes and fancy sentence structures in my literature classes, while at the same time failing geometry class or moving down from Calc BC to Calc AB halfway through a semester. So my logical side brought me to the conclusion that I should not major in my very worst subject. Regardless, during my freshman orientation, I found myself registering for a Calc 1 course, Math 115 as we call it here. There was this voice whispering to me that it would be a disservice to my academic career to fully discontinue an area of study that had been a constant for me for over a decade. So it was in this way that I found myself, halfway through my semester of Calc 1, calling my boyfriend and explaining to him how much I genuinely loved doing my math homework. It's just never boring because each assignment is like solving a new puzzle, I remember saying, comparing math's problem-solving basis to the bland and never surprising readings of my Anthro 101 class. At the time, I was lamenting over not knowing what to major in, so my boyfriend did the sensible thing and questioned whether I had ever considered being a math major. Now, I don't remember exactly what I said, but I do remember thinking something along the lines of, "No way, why would I ever want to do that to myself?" 3.5 years later, I stand before you all having done exactly that to myself. My initial hesitation towards being a math major was founded by one preconceived and slightly misguided notion. Math is hard for me, and because it is hard for me, I should not do it. The way I saw it, the difficulty of the subject acted as a wall, separating the vast majority of the population from those who excel in math, geniuses like Einstein and Euler and Poincaré, and from the fruits of their labors. What I did not realize at the time was that the difficulty of the subject would provide a bridge of camaraderie for me, making the math community one of the most welcoming that I have ever experienced. For each problem set that I cried my way through, there was at least one set of office hours guiding me and fellow laboring students to a collective aha moment. For each grade distribution that made me feel destined to have to choose a new major, there was at least one instructor urging me forward. And for each moment of certainty that I was going to fail out of the math department because I was simply not good enough, there was at least one fellow student reassuring me, guiding my focus away from my insecurities and towards the love of math that we all share. A couple of years ago, I remember hearing that the one thing that all mathematicians have in common is that they all genuinely love math. Based on my experience in Michigan's math department, I can say with utmost certainty that that statement holds true here. And it has been this love and this passion that has inspired me in a way that I did not know to be possible, and that has driven me to do what I feared to be impossible. The sentiment that I express to you all today would not be possible without the magnificent work of the Michigan Math Department's faculty and staff, so I would like to take a moment to acknowledge their contribution and work in building that fantastic community that I have had the honor of experiencing. My address is not to say that everyone should do math. Rather, my address is to encourage each of you to notice what sets your heart on fire, especially when they are hidden beneath the preconceived notions of what should set your heart on fire. As we all leave the safety of the math department to go on to the next stage of our lives, do not forget to be fearless. Remember the love that we all shared here. Listen to the inner voice, no matter how small it may be, as it tells you to follow a path that you never would have predicted for yourself. You never know where it might take you. Thank you.
So if our three speakers could stand again, and we'll thank them again. So we're going to continue marching.
Okay. Jia Cheng Lu. Zonren Gao. Eric Huang. Wyatt Jones. Aiden Parker. Austin Magis. Louisa Abbott. Keisha Tang. Margaret A. Hanger. Tian Yu. Yashin Yi. Alexandria Shand. Paul Song. Redmond Wells Shah. Yang Yu. Wu Wen Shin. Tren Bak Hai. Okay. Jiaqi Zhang. Tong Su. Wuhan. Han Wu. Daniel Minahan. Samuel Friedman. Graham Bader. Lawrence Tang. Yishi Jiang. Amanda Fennenbrock. James Seiner. Molly Lee. And Madison Cox.
So in case you're like me and want to know what happened to the boyfriend, her boyfriend, he's in here. He's in here someplace. He's still her boyfriend. Yeah. So let's give another round of applause for all of our graduates this year. And the last word for this ceremony is going to belong to my boss, Tony Block. He's the Alexander Zewitt Chair of Mathematics, and he's my boss. Okay.
I don't know about boss. We're all sort of equal around here. But I have to say, Stephen, you did a fantastic job. I'd like to thank all the staff here, too. I don't know how you put together this remarkable occasion. And my main job really is to sort of congratulate you all. I met some of you earlier. It's wonderful to see the rest of you. I hope you've enjoyed your time at Michigan. It's been a pleasure to have you. And as some of our speakers said, this really is a community of mathematics around here. Mathematics does bring things together, people together. It brings one's thoughts together. It's a beautiful subject. It's a unifying thing. And the community of mathematicians is a wonderful community. As people said, one can meet people all over the world, and they all understand the same language, and you can talk about interesting things. And there's really something exciting about learning new things and discovering new things. For some of you who go on, maybe you'll go on to study more mathematics, learn new things, apply it in different ways. It's a wonderful skill to have, and I hope it'll follow you through the rest of your lives. So again, I want to congratulate all of you. I want to congratulate the families, and I hope you've had a wonderful time at Michigan, and you'll remember us in the future. We'll certainly remember you, and all the best. So thank you.